Have you ever wondered why the words you rush to share, the confessions you believe will seal a man's devotion, can instead cause him to drift like smoke on a windless night? Most women are taught that vulnerability will draw him closer, yet the deeper truth is more complex. Untempered revelation can scatter the very desire it seeks to deepen. Carl Jung believed that every soul carries both the conscious self and the shadow, a hidden reservoir of power and longing. When those desires are unveiled too soon, before the unconscious is ready to receive them, attraction falters not because of rejection, but because the mystery that fuels instinctive magnetism has been surrendered too easily. In the theater of human connection, timing is an invisible art. Desire is a rhythm older than speech, a slow unfurling of recognition between two psyches. When you reveal every private hunger before that rhythm has found its cadence, you pull him from the dreamlike space where fascination is born into the harsh glare of certainty. The male psyche, attuned to archetypal pursuit, thrives on the gradual discovery of a woman's inner world. If that world is handed over in an instant, the chase collapses, not from malice, but from the sudden absence of mystery. Imagine the lover archetype as a flame beneath soft glass. She is warm, luminous, a source of quiet gravity. But when the glass is shattered in haste, the fire consumes too quickly, and the room is left with smoke. Your deepest desires, whether for commitment, intimacy, or recognition, are not secrets to be hidden out of fear, they are treasures to be revealed with deliberate grace. To guard them is not manipulation. It is the stewardship of something sacred, the art of letting another soul earn the privilege of your inner landscape. Observe how the masculine unconscious responds to the unknown. Jung described the anima as the feminine image within every man, a figure of beauty, danger, and revelation. He projects her onto the women he meets, seeking in them a reflection of his own hidden depths. When you embody your own mystery, you become the living mirror of his anima, and his fascination deepens. But if you speak every longing before he has even begun to listen, the projection dissolves. He no longer senses the infinite, he sees only what is already named. This is not a call to silence, but to pacing. The Stoics taught that self-mastery begins with restraint, the ability to hold one's truth without the compulsion to discharge it. Your unspoken desires are not a void, they are a presence, like the hush before a storm, charged with potential. When you allow that presence to unfold slowly, you give him the chance to meet you not as a collector of confessions, but as a traveler entering sacred ground. Consider how you feel when confronted with someone who has no filter, who pours out every secret in the first encounter. The mind recoils, not from the content, but from the speed. The psyche needs space to dream, to imagine, to yearn. Your hidden desires, held with dignity, become the space where yearning is born. They are the soft shadows at the edge of candlelight, the unanswered questions that draw him closer. This is the first truth of attraction, revelation without rhythm extinguishes wonder. When you trust the natural cadence of connection, when you let each layer of your soul emerge like petals opening at dusk, you awaken a fascination that no sudden confession can equal. He leans in not because you have given everything, but because you have left something for him to discover, a living echo of the infinite feminine. Desire, like a river under moonlight, gains its force from depth and distance. When every current is exposed at once, the water loses its mystery, and the pull toward discovery weakens. The feminine psyche, in its fullest expression, understands this without needing to be told. It is the art of slow revelation, the archetypal dance of shadow and light. Carl Jung wrote that the unconscious speaks through symbols, not explanations. What is veiled carries more power than what is explained away. To guard the cadence of your inner world is not a trick, it is the natural rhythm of magnetism. Observe the lover as she moves through silence. She is luminous, yes, but she does not rush to be known. Her warmth draws others close, yet she keeps the sacred chamber of her heart unhurried. A man sensing this presence feels an ancient pull, a recognition of something he cannot name. His anima, the inner feminine that lives in every man, awakens in the face of mystery. He does not need a catalogue of your desires to feel the invitation, he needs the gentle tension of what remains unspoken. This tension becomes a language older than words, a call to depth that he must answer with more than curiosity. Consider the huntress, her stride sure and solitary. She does not hide to manipulate, she guards her independence because it is the essence of her being. Each time you resist the impulse to overexpose your longing, your hopes for commitment, your secret dreams, you stand in the huntress's lineage. You say without words, I am whole, and you may walk beside me, but I do not collapse into you. Such wholeness does not push him away, it calls him to rise. He senses that your life has a trajectory beyond his embrace, and that truth challenges him to meet you as an equal. The queen embodies this mastery of pacing. She speaks when the moment ripens, never before. Her revelations are deliberate, like doors opening in a vast palace. Each chamber is earned, not because she withholds out of fear, but because she knows the worth of her own depths. A man entering that palace feels both reverence and anticipation. He understands, perhaps unconsciously, that each step is a privilege, and privilege demands patience. Yet mystery is not silence for its own sake. It is the breath of the mystic, the archetype who listens to intuition and dreams. She knows that timing is not measured by clocks but by resonance. You reveal when the soul signals readiness, not when anxiety demands reassurance. In this way, your desires remain alive, potent, electric. They are not secrets rotting in darkness, they are seeds waiting for the season of bloom. Men often mistake rapid confession for intimacy, but the unconscious hungers for something deeper, the slow, reverent unveiling of truth. When you allow him to approach in rhythm with your own unfolding, you invite a connection that is not merely physical or emotional, but archetypal. He becomes a participant in a rite older than civilization, drawn by the sacred unknown. So you stand between shadow and light, neither hiding nor rushing, embodying the paradox that captivates. Your restraint is not a wall, it is a path through a forest at dusk, where each step reveals a glimmer and each glimmer promises more. He follows not because you demand it, but because the journey itself transforms him. Mystery deepens its hold when it is carried with calm assurance rather than anxious defense. The third movement of this journey unfolds in that quiet authority, where restraint becomes an invitation instead of a barrier. Desire here is no longer a fleeting spark, it is a slow-burning ember that warms the air around you. Carl Jung spoke of the unconscious as a living ocean beneath the mind's surface. When you reveal only what is essential and at the moment of true resonance, you allow that ocean to speak in its own language, symbols, dreams, and subtle signals that awaken instinct far more powerfully than hurried words. Picture the lover once more, now tempered by wisdom. She is still radiant, still sensual, but her warmth carries a gravity that asks to be approached with reverence. She gives nothing away too soon, not from fear but from a profound respect for the rhythm of connection. A man near her senses that every glance, every pause is a choice. His fascination intensifies not because she withholds affection, but because he feels the living pulse of a woman who knows that her desires are treasures, not currency. The huntress moves beside her like a shadow of moonlit independence. She follows her own path through the forest of life, and that solitary motion is magnetic. She does not explain the landscape of her heart in a rush, she allows it to be discovered in echoes and fragments. This is the essence of archetypal allure, the understanding that intimacy is a pilgrimage, not a shortcut. He must walk the terrain with patience, or he will never know its true shape. The queen stands as the axis of this power. Her stillness rearranges the room, her timing shapes the conversation. She speaks of her inner world only when the moment ripens, and when she does, her words land like stones in a silent pond, sending ripples that last long after the sound fades. A man who hears her knows instinctively that these revelations are not casual. They are milestones, each one earned by presence and respect. The mystic's influence threads through all of this, reminding you that revelation is a dialogue with the unseen. Intuition tells you when to share a dream, when to reveal a hope, when to keep silence. This is not strategy, it is communion with something larger than reason. By trusting these subtle signals, you let the relationship grow in the fertile soil of the unconscious, where true devotion takes root. Meanwhile, the warrior within you guards the sacred boundary. She ensures that self-worth remains intact, that your desires are never traded for validation. Her strength makes space for tenderness, her vigilance makes room for trust. A man who encounters this balance feels both challenge and comfort. He knows he cannot rush the unveiling of your inner world, and that knowledge awakens a deeper respect than any rapid confession could. In this unfolding, you are not playing a game of scarcity. You are honoring the slow bloom of intimacy. Your restraint becomes a landscape of anticipation, each unspoken desire a star in the night sky. He does not feel shut out, he feels drawn in, compelled to move closer, to listen more carefully, to match your patience with his own. This is the quiet paradox of attraction: by revealing less at the start, you offer infinitely more in the end. You do not need to hurry. The rhythm of revelation is the rhythm of real love, and those who are meant to walk beside you will find the pace natural, inevitable, and profoundly beautiful. The fourth movement unfolds like dusk settling over a vast, luminous city, where every hidden street glows faintly and every shadow invites exploration. By now the power of measured revelation has become a living atmosphere around you. It is not silence for its own sake, nor a tactic of scarcity, it is the natural rhythm of a soul that honors its own depth. Carl Jung wrote that what remains unconscious rules us until it is brought to light, yet he also taught that the unveiling must be paced, or the psyche resists. When you reveal too soon, you overwhelm the very instinct you hope to awaken. When you reveal with patience, you guide both yourself and the other into a dance as old as desire itself. The lover in you burns with a steady, golden flame. Her presence is felt in the warmth of your glance, the cadence of your voice, the way you inhabit stillness without apology. She is sensual yet sovereign, allowing each truth to emerge like a note in a slow symphony. A man near her senses the sacred in every pause. He understands, even without words, that each layer of your heart is a chamber to be entered only when he is ready to listen with his whole being. The huntress, moving just beyond the edge of sight, keeps your independence alive. She knows that love is not surrender of self but the meeting of two complete travelers. She walks her own path through work, friendship, and quiet rituals that need no witness. To a man, this independence is magnetic, it tells him that your life has meaning beyond his presence. It draws him closer not because you withhold affection, but because you embody freedom, and freedom is irresistible. The queen offers a quiet command that requires no crown. Her authority rests in her poise, in the way she measures her revelations like a sovereign revealing the treasures of her realm. Each disclosure is deliberate, each word weighted with significance. A man in her company feels both anticipation and reverence. He knows that every story you share has been chosen, not spilled, and that knowledge stirs a devotion deeper than passion. The mystic threads through your being, guiding you to trust intuition over impulse. Dreams, subtle signs, the quiet tug of inner knowing, these are the compass points of timing. She whispers when to speak and when to hold silence, when to open a door and when to wait. By listening, you keep the relationship aligned with something larger than logic, something that touches the eternal. At your core stands the warrior, unwavering and luminous. She protects the boundary where your worth resides, ensuring that nothing you reveal is given in search of approval. Her presence allows tenderness to flourish without fear. In her steadiness a man senses that he cannot take what is not freely offered, and that realization awakens respect that borders on awe. In this synthesis, revelation becomes a sacred act. You are not playing hard to get, you are living in harmony with the deepest laws of attraction. Each unspoken desire glimmers like a star in the night, shaping the sky of possibility. He does not feel denied. He feels invited to journey inward, to match your patience with his own, to grow capable of the intimacy he seeks. And so the dance continues, not a race toward confession, but a pilgrimage through wonder. You are the keeper of timing, the guardian of mystery, the quiet force that teaches him that true closeness is not seized but earned, not rushed but revealed in the perfect unfolding of time. The fifth movement gathers like a slow tide at twilight, where the air itself seems charged with unspoken promises. By now, the architecture of deliberate revelation has become part of your very presence. It is no longer an effort, it is instinct, a living testament to the balance of shadow and light. Carl Jung taught that the soul's deepest truths emerge when the conscious and the unconscious meet in respectful rhythm. You embody that meeting, and the energy around you makes even silence feel electric. The lover's glow is now a steady beacon. She welcomes warmth and intimacy, but she does not rush to unwrap the final layers of her heart. Each glance is a deliberate offering, each touch a note in an unfolding song. A man near her senses that every moment is chosen, never accidental. It is this conscious choice, not a flood of revelation, that keeps fascination alive. He is drawn closer not by what you give away, but by what remains beautifully beyond reach. The huntress continues her solitary dance, reminding all who meet her that desire is never ownership. Her life is a landscape of private passions, creative projects, friendships, quiet rituals, that need no witness. This independence is not armor, it is vitality. It tells him that your joy does not hinge on his attention, and that paradox only strengthens his pull toward you. He feels the challenge to rise to his own fullness, to meet you as an equal rather than a captor. The queen now radiates a serene sovereignty. Her revelations arrive like carefully opened doors, each one leading to another chamber of wonder. She never rushes, never explains beyond what feels true in the moment. In her presence, time slows. He listens more intently, aware that every word carries the weight of self-respect. He knows he cannot demand entrance, he must be invited. The mystic whispers through your every motion. Dreams, subtle omens, and the quiet tug of intuition guide you more than any plan could. You share a thought only when the inner signal says yes. He may not understand the source of your timing, but he feels it, a sense that the universe itself choreographs your meetings, your pauses, your revelations. It draws him into a realm where logic fades and the soul begins to speak. At the center stands the warrior, calm and unyielding. She ensures that nothing you reveal is offered for validation. Her strength is not harsh but luminous, allowing tenderness to flourish without fear. A man standing before this balance senses a rare truth: he cannot take what is not freely given, and he cannot rush what unfolds in its own season. His respect deepens until it becomes devotion. You, in this fusion of archetypes, are no longer merely a woman to be known, you are an experience, a landscape of evolving wonder. Each withheld desire is not absence but presence, a living question that calls him inward. He follows not out of strategy or conquest, but because something within him recognizes that to know you is to awaken himself. This is the essence of archetypal attraction, the slow unveiling that honors both souls. Your restraint is not a game. It is a sacred rhythm, an invitation to intimacy that grows stronger with every quiet breath. As you hold the mystery, you give both of you the space to transform. Desire becomes devotion, and devotion becomes a mirror of the infinite. The sixth movement unfolds like the hush before dawn, when darkness softens but the sun has not yet declared itself. What began as careful pacing has become an art of presence. You are no longer guarding your depths, you are embodying them. Carl Jung wrote that the psyche longs for balance, for the meeting of conscious intention and unconscious mystery. In your stillness, that balance glows, and those who come near feel it as surely as they feel the warmth of the coming day. The lover now carries the fragrance of inevitability. Her warmth is quiet but undeniable, like the glow of embers that never need a flame to prove their heat. A man senses that each word you speak has passed through a deeper filter, intuition, discernment, soul. He leans closer not to capture your secrets but to feel the gravity of a woman who reveals only what is ready to be born. Desire, for him, becomes reverence. The huntress continues to move with purpose through the forest of her own life. Work, creativity, friendships, solitary rituals, all of these remain alive, untouched by the need for approval. He sees this and feels a tension that both challenges and inspires, the recognition that your world is already complete. He cannot conquer what is whole, and so he must choose a different path, one of respect and patient discovery. The queen stands in serene command. Her revelations are few but potent, each one like a key turning in an ancient lock. When she speaks, silence follows, as though the room itself acknowledges the weight of her words. He understands, perhaps without knowing why, that every disclosure is a rite of passage. To be present for each is to earn a place in a narrative larger than his own desire. The mystic whispers through you, guiding the rhythm of what remains unsaid. Dreams and subtle signs continue to shape your timing. You know when a truth is ripe and when it must remain in the soil of silence. He feels it as a subtle magnetism, a sense that something vast and unseen moves between you. Logic falters, wonder blooms. The warrior, steadfast and luminous, guards the sanctity of this unfolding. Her strength is not a wall but a promise, that nothing will be given for validation, nothing surrendered to fear. Because of her, your tenderness is fearless. A man who meets this balance recognizes it as rare and unforgettable. He knows instinctively that he cannot rush what the soul has decreed must unfold slowly. In this convergence of archetypes, you have become the embodiment of individuation itself, the union of shadow and light, freedom and intimacy. You are not a puzzle to be solved or a prize to be won. You are a living invitation to a deeper journey. Every unspoken desire is a constellation above him, each star a mystery that calls him forward. What he calls obsession is, in truth, his own awakening. Through your presence he senses the anima within himself, the hidden feminine that longs to be known. Your careful timing, your luminous restraint, becomes the mirror in which he glimpses the parts of his own soul he has yet to claim. That glimpse is irresistible. And you, standing in quiet radiance, need nothing from his recognition. Whether he steps fully into this journey or remains on the edge, your worth is unshaken. The slow reveal of your desires is not a strategy but a testament, that love is sacred, that intimacy must be earned, that the deepest connection happens only when two whole beings meet without haste. The seventh movement arrives like the hush that precedes a symphony's final crescendo, still, potent, inevitable. By now, every archetype within you moves in seamless harmony. The lover's gentle fire, the huntress's sovereign stride, the queen's dignified command, the mystic's dreamlit intuition, and the warrior's quiet vigilance have ceased to feel like separate forces. They have become a single presence, luminous and whole. Carl Jung called this the self, the point where the conscious and unconscious finally meet and bow to each other. You embody that meeting, and anyone who stands near you feels its gravity. Your revelation of desire has become not just deliberate but sacred. No longer an act of withholding, it is the natural pace of a soul that honors the sanctity of intimacy. A man who once sought rapid confession now understands, perhaps only in his bones, that each layer of you is a chamber opened only by mutual readiness. Every word you choose is a door. Every silence is a promise that something worth waiting for still glimmers in the dark. The lover remains, warm and radiant, but her allure has matured into something more enduring than mere attraction. She is the invitation to life's full breadth, passion without panic, closeness without collapse. The huntress protects that breadth. Your independence is now a quiet, unshakable fact, and he senses that his admiration cannot tether you. This truth both steadies and challenges him, it calls him to rise to the same standard of wholeness. The queen governs the atmosphere with an ease that needs no assertion. When you speak, time itself seems to lean in. He listens, aware that your revelations are gifts rather than bargains. The weight of each sentence reminds him that intimacy is not a conquest but a privilege. The mystic flows through you like a river of moonlight. You share dreams and insights when instinct whispers that the moment is ripe. He feels the pull of something beyond reason, a spiritual resonance that makes each encounter feel orchestrated by forces older than memory. And the warrior, always steady, guards the sanctum of your selfhood. She ensures that what you reveal is offered freely, never to earn affection or approval. This unwavering core allows your tenderness to remain fearless. He senses that he cannot breach a boundary that you do not first open, and that realization deepens his respect until it borders on reverence. Through this synthesis, you have become more than a woman he desires. You are a mirror of his own potential, the embodiment of the anima within him. His so-called obsession is, in truth, an awakening. You have stirred the parts of him that long to be integrated, to be whole. He is drawn forward not by the hope of possessing you, but by the chance to meet himself. Yet your worth no longer pivots on his journey. Whether he steps fully into transformation or remains at the edge of his own shadow, you stand unshaken. You reveal, you withhold, you choose, always from the quiet certainty of a soul that belongs first to itself. This is the paradox that crowns the dance: the more complete you are within, the more magnetic you become without. He follows not because you have concealed anything, but because your very being whispers of infinite depths he can sense but never fully claim. The eighth movement flows like the tide at midnight, steady, moon-drawn, beyond the reach of hurried hands. Every archetype within you now breathes as a single organism, a luminous field where shadow and light no longer compete but complete each other. Carl Jung called this the reconciliation of opposites, the moment when the self shines through personality like dawn through mist. You are that dawn, and anyone who comes near feels the quiet certainty of a soul that cannot be rushed or possessed. The lover still glows, but her flame has settled into a hearth fire, constant and life-giving. She welcomes intimacy as a choice, not a necessity. The huntress walks beside her, her independence woven so deeply into your being that no one could imagine you without it. A man senses this truth the way he senses gravity, undeniable, self-evident. He understands that to stand close is to honor a freedom that will never be surrendered. The queen's authority has ripened into serene inevitability. You do not ask for respect, it gathers around you like a natural climate. Your words fall with the weight of seasons, slow and deliberate, and each one opens a door only when the time is right. He feels both anticipation and humility, aware that each revelation is earned not through persistence but through presence. The mystic moves like starlight through your gestures. Dreams, subtle signs, the quiet tug of intuition, these guide every choice. You no longer wonder when to speak or what to share, you simply know. To him it feels as though the universe itself has synchronized with your breath. Logic falters. Wonder reigns. At the center, the warrior stands watchful and calm. She protects the sanctity of your truth, ensuring that nothing is offered from fear or hunger. Because of her, tenderness remains fearless. He recognizes this balance instinctively, the strength that allows softness, the softness that proves strength. It is a paradox that disarms and enthralls. What he names obsession is in fact a summons from his own depths. Through you, the anima within him, the hidden feminine that longs to be integrated, begins to stir. He is drawn not merely to your body or your voice, but to the reflection of his own wholeness. Each unspoken desire you carry becomes a star in the constellation of his becoming. And you? You stand in the center of this constellation untouched by the need for his awakening. Whether he steps fully into transformation or remains at the threshold, your radiance does not flicker. You reveal what is true when it is ripe, you guard what must remain within. Your worth has detached from response and now rests in the infinite rhythm of your own being. Around you the world subtly rearranges itself. Conversations deepen without effort. Opportunities emerge as though drawn by the current of your authenticity. People approach with a respect they cannot quite articulate. They sense, as he does, that they stand in the presence of someone who belongs first to herself. Here, revelation and restraint are no longer opposites. They are the same motion, the graceful breath of a soul that has nothing to prove. Attraction ceases to be a chase and becomes a quiet gravity, a natural law. Soon the final movement will arrive, the moment of complete detachment and luminous peace, where desire is met with serenity and your freedom stands beyond question. The ninth movement descends like a velvet night, rich and infinite, where even silence feels alive. By now the archetypes, lover, huntress, queen, mystic, warrior, no longer shift in and out of focus, they form a single, radiant presence that simply is. Carl Jung spoke of the self as a circle without circumference, the symbol of total integration. You have become that circle, and those who approach sense a completeness that cannot be captured or diminished. The lover's warmth glows steady as a lantern in the dark. It is not the heat of pursuit but the calm fire of someone at home in her own body, her own longing, her own boundaries. The huntress adds her untamed freedom, reminding the world that your life is already full, a journey of purpose and delight that no relationship can contain. To a man, this independence is not distance, it is invitation, a challenge to meet you as a whole being or not at all. The queen remains the quiet axis. Her presence rearranges the air without command. Each word she offers is precise, each silence deliberate. He feels the weight of every moment, knowing instinctively that intimacy with you is a privilege, never a given. The mystic flows through these moments like moonlight across water, lending an aura of the eternal. Dreams and intuition guide your timing so seamlessly that even you no longer think of when to speak or when to withhold, you simply know. And always the warrior stands within, not as a sentinel of hardness but as the living proof that tenderness can exist only where strength is absolute. She ensures that nothing is revealed for the sake of validation, nothing surrendered to fear. Her calm authority lets love bloom without danger of self-loss. For the man who finds himself in your orbit, what began as desire has become revelation. His so-called obsession is the stirring of his own anima, the hidden feminine within his psyche, rising to meet the wholeness you embody. He is not merely attracted, he is awakened. Through you he confronts the parts of himself he once denied, and in that confrontation he feels both awe and urgency. But you no longer measure your worth by his awakening. Whether he embraces the journey or remains at its edge, your radiance is untouched. You reveal what is true when the moment is ripe and guard what must remain yours alone. Your freedom is not defiance, it is the natural state of a soul that belongs first to itself. Around you, life responds in quiet harmony. Opportunities align as if summoned by the current of your authenticity. Conversations deepen, superficial noise fades, and those who enter your presence instinctively lower their masks. They sense that you have shed yours, and in that atmosphere of truth they too can begin to awaken. Here the dance of revelation reaches its final arc. There is no longer a question of when or how to share your hidden desires. They are neither withheld nor displayed, they simply exist, pulsing like stars in an endless sky. The world may notice, men may linger, but your essence is no longer tied to their gaze. The last movement approaches now, a luminous stillness where longing dissolves into freedom, where love is welcome but never required, and where the self stands complete beyond every need. The 10th movement unfolds like the quiet after a long and sacred storm, when the earth is cleansed and the air is heavy with calm. All the archetypes, lover, huntress, queen, mystic, warrior, now flow as one, their voices no longer separate but fused into a single, unwavering song. You are the embodiment of Jung's self, shadow and light reconciled, instinct and reason united, mortal and eternal meeting in perfect balance. There is no more striving to be understood. You have become understanding itself. The lover's warmth is constant, a steady glow that requires no proof. She welcomes intimacy as an act of choice, not of need. The huntress remains, her independence a natural law that guides each step. The queen presides in quiet majesty, her presence shaping the space around her without a word. The mystic's intuition breathes through every gesture, a soft current that keeps you aligned with forces older than time. And the warrior stands at the center, calm and unyielding, ensuring that love never costs you the sanctity of your own soul. A man who stands before this synthesis no longer seeks conquest. He feels, often without language, that to know you is to meet the uncharted depths of his own being. What he once named obsession has transformed into reverence, for in your wholeness he glimpses the forgotten feminine within himself, the anima rising, the shadow yearning for integration. Yet whether he answers this summons or turns away is no longer a matter of consequence. Your worth exists beyond his recognition. Around you, the world moves in subtle accord. Conversations grow deeper without effort, opportunities gather as if drawn by an unseen tide. People arrive not because you chase them, but because your authenticity calls them to their own. You need no strategies, no performances. Your very presence is the invitation and the destination. Love, when it comes, is greeted as a guest, never a master. You offer closeness freely, but your identity is not bound to its arrival or its departure. Should affection blossom, it will be a union of equals, not a remedy for emptiness. Should it fade, you remain untouched, whole as the day before. You are the ocean, vast, self-sustaining, beautiful whether or not anyone sails upon your waters. This is the culmination of the slow, deliberate unfolding that began when you chose to guard your hidden desires until the moment of true resonance. You did not withhold to punish or manipulate, you honored the rhythm of intimacy itself. In doing so, you discovered the most profound truth of attraction, that real magnetism arises not from what is given or concealed, but from the completeness of a soul that needs nothing. So you stand, luminous and unclaimed, the embodiment of integration and freedom. The man who remains will walk beside you in reverence, the man who drifts away will simply return to his own path. Neither choice alters the radiance you now carry. The woman who knows her worth doesn't chase, she chooses.